So this is a follow-up video to the video I released just a couple of days ago on using the concept of silencing the inner critic to heal personality disorders like narcissistic personality disorder. The same principles and the same mechanisms apply for codependents, empaths, echoes, fawn responders, whatever you want to call people who would identify themselves as being over-caring rather than under-caring at the other end of the spectrum. What motivates and drives, what I said in the last video, is the mechanism that drives NPD, that pushes people and that keeps people, their personality rolling down a certain slot, down a certain way of doing things over time and interactions with other people, is the inner critic. That was it's just something I made up. If I say it's made up, it sounds like it has less value. It's something that I thought about very deeply and a concept that I created, because in psychology we never make things up. Nothing is made up. Nothing is made up in psychology. Good, I'm glad we got that cleared up. The consequence for the empath, for the echo, for the fawn responder, is the same thing. It's the superego injunction. So when we're saying inner critic, it's just easier, better language to describe the more technical psychoanalytic term of the superego. And the injunction is the sort of the imposition of a rule, like now you shall, now you must, now you mayn't, this is haram, this is mandatory, you must not. That's the superego injunction. So for the narcissist, the superego injunction would be, you're the most important and godlike person on the earth. These people are laughing at you. These people don't respect you. They need to be punished. Let's gather an army together and punish that people, that nation, that race. Let's destroy them for the effrontery, for the wound, for the insult that has been inflicted on us. So it can manifest at an individual level or at a group, a tribal, a national level as well. Of course, we know this. For the recovering empath who's seeking to heal and to re-empower themselves, what do we need to understand? Well, we need to understand that this superego injunction isn't just the inner critic of you're useless, you're no good, you should obey the commands of your tyrannical husband, you should forget all of your needs and offer up yourself as this sacrifice to the needs of your girlfriend or wife or partner or significant other, or even people who are in submission to their own children, or in submission to their own parents, or in submission to their or to their church, or to their boss, or whoever it is. There is an excess of unboundaried submission, of unboundaried overgivingness, of submitting to the urge to merge. The urge to merge is coming from the superego. Probably one of the most challenging concepts in the Silence the Inner Critic course, that when people get to it and when they've heard it a couple of times, I imagine I'm going to get some pushback from. It hasn't happened yet, because when people get a big course like this, they'll kind of like, they'll usually have you ever read the Malcolm Gladwell book Blink? People will try and just get a pattern and they'll go, this is what this is. I'll take 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there, and it ends here. So I'm going to make up what's there in the middle, when they have no idea what's there in the middle. You really have to go through the course. But as the weeks go by, and obviously people are working and they have other things to do, and they actually listen to what's in the course, the one thing I think I'm going to get the most pushback from is a concept in the course, which is that the idea that I don't even like saying this out loud, that like, there is a part of your brain that, and I'm not saying this to frighten you, there is a part, it's not of your brain, sorry, it might be housed in the flesh unit, in the biological flesh unit in a certain sense, but there is a part of your consciousness, a part of your personality, a part of the self that might be trying to destroy you. That's a pretty horrendous, that's a horrifying idea. What do? Do I dig it out with a fork? Like, but why would I suggest that to people? Am I trying to terrify them? No, I'm not trying to terrify them. But when people are saying to me, why am I like this? Why am I so crazy? Why can I never get anything done? Why can I not move forward with my relationships? Why can I not overcome my addictions? And they're furious with themselves, and they kind of the self wants to attack the self, and this part of the self, it's really harsh. Like, having CPTSD is a fucking horrendous experience. I imagine for many predators it is. For people whose CPTSD is manifested as a more predatory style, I think it's probably a fairly hellish place to be too. It can't be a calm, peaceful, joyous experience. So saying it out loud is kind of a taboo, but it's the truth. Like, and to people who are really suffering, who are not just tourists, who are not just a bit curious going, I wonder what all this is about. To people who are not really suffering, they might be like, that's a weird thing to suggest. For those who do really suffer, to the point where, again, another social taboo, I don't talk about it much on this channel, but it's implied, is thoughts of suicide. Like, if your mind is attacking itself, as the body is attacking itself, if the full-blown emotional flashbacks that are extremely aggravated, that are coming from a very, very agitated superego, a very, very agitated inner critic, will lead you to thoughts of suicide very rapidly. Because, and it's really hard to explain to people who've never suffered it. Imagine like you've got like a really bad allergy, but the most extreme version of an allergy, and it's like an autoimmune disorder, but it's in the emotional system. So everything can become inflamed all at once, and there's no escape. Like, it's not like you can go and lie down in a dark room and everything's going to be okay. No, that's where the demons will get you. It's not like you can go and do a mindfulness course. Oh, go and sit still and do some meditation. Great, fucking great. I know I'm going to be eaten alive by my inner demons. So for people who are in the extremes of CPTSD, it's useful to know, hey, there's actually a part of the mind that was colonized, that was hijacked, that has been brainwashed, and that part does not have a positive intent towards you. The superego is supposed to, I would think, is supposed to be a guidance system towards good behavior, righteous and moral behavior that allows us to suppress the drive for short-term gain, for long-term gain. You know, so you're not sacrificing tomorrow for the pleasures of today, to paraphrase Jordan Peterson. So that you're actually going, okay, I'm going to sacrifice the pleasures of today for the building of a structure, for the building of something that will last tomorrow. That's what the superego helps with, because the id and the ego will just be like, fuck it, why not eat the chocolate cake now? Well, it's because tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, there's consequences to that you might not want. That's where the superego is supposed to step in. Why would a superego want to destroy you? Well, as I've said before, the way that our parents love us is our internalized model for how we love ourselves. What's the implication for the superego and the inner critic? If your parents beat the shit out of you, physically or emotionally, and communicated to you that you were worthless, perhaps even by just ignoring you, then you have no model for loving yourself, and you won't love yourself. And in the absence of love, there won't be a pH neutral state of nothingness. Hate will come in. Self-loathing will come in. I wasn't loved, therefore I must be a piece of shit, will be the conclusion that the unconscious comes to, and that's extremely painful. So what's the superego trying to do? It's actually trying to manifest the messages. And when I say messages here, I don't always mean the explicit, audible, verbal messages, the meta communication. Shut up, kid. Or you ask a question and they just go, you know, make a contemptuous face. Well, what am I communicating to you? Is a little vessel of emotion that you are as a child. It's like you fucking pointless being of contempt. You pointless being worthy only of dismissal. Imagine that like if you, like for me, the model in my head, I'm like, okay, there's all kinds of emotions. It's like a cocktail bar of emotions. Of course, it would be cocktails for me. And they're different colors. And that's going to go straight into the vessel that is the child. Let's turn on some shame. Let's turn on some self-loathing. Let's turn on some guilt. Let's turn on some feeling of abandonment. How? This. Shut up, would you? Fuck's sake. Fucking dickhead. I'm not even really doing anything to you. I might even not say fucking dickhead. I might just go back to watching the TV. It's still a meta communication, and it's going to turn on those different coloured bottles there. That is going to slide all that multitude of emotions inside of the vessel, of the emotional vessel that is the child. What's the end result of that? I'm God in that child's life. I'm God-like in that child's life. The mother is goddess-like in that little vessel of emotions life. The superego that they end up with is a manifestation of the communication they get from me and from the other primary caregiver. Mainly, this is mainly where the problems come from. They can come from teachers and they can come from social groups. So if somebody is raised by good enough, as Pete Walker would call them, good enough parents, but then ends up in a bullying institution or an ego-destroying religious sect or even a cult, then also the superego will become infected. And whatever the understood, I probably should be writing this down rather than saying it verbally because it's a little bit hard to understand. Let's say I'm father, and there's the child is just here. You just imagine that they're just there. I have meta communication that has its own meaning. Whatever it is, the child interprets that. Whatever the child interprets the meaning to be is what it then creates as a superego that it carries around for the rest of its life into adulthood until it becomes me. So it grows from here, becomes a small boy, becomes a teenager, becomes a young man, becomes a broken, cynical 40. No, I'm joking. A broken, cynical 40-year-old man. Oh, good, and then dies. The next phase, dead. The child is then carrying that superego injunction with it from whatever it understood those messages to be. So silencing the inner critic is about healing the superego injunctions that were probably given by primary caregivers, mummy and daddy, possibly by a church, possibly by other relatives that took care of the person, or experiences. I mean, it could be, it's less likely to be, but it possibly could be very pronounced workplace bullying, or if somebody joined the military, it needs to be immersive to get into the superego. It needs to be an all-encompassing experience. Like if you were 17 years old, joined the military, and then got bullied the fuck out of, then that also would do it. You need to be totally helpless and unable to escape for it to have this effect. I have certain metacommunications, I have a certain intent. The child reads the intent and then creates a superego based on the messages that I'm giving. I may not want to kill the child. I may not want to destroy the child. But I may also have a sense of, well, my wife is showing you more attention than she's showing me now. I'm highly narcissistic and selfish, so fuck you, kid. And I'll just slowly leak out contempt because I can't deal with my own emotions. I'm emotionally infantile or constipated or just full of rage from some other experience in my own childhood from a long time ago. That all damages the child. What if the child interprets that as I'm not worthy of love and I deserve to not exist? It won't think I deserve to die. It won't. The pre-conscious, pre-ego formation child state can't think in those terms, but it can certainly think I don't deserve to exist. Daddy doesn't love me is pretty brutal for a child. Mummy doesn't care about me is pretty fucking brutal for a child. It's a fairly harsh condemnation. Well, however harsh that condemnation is, that is the superego injunction that the individual will live with for the rest of their life. And some superego injunctions are, you're not worth saving. You don't deserve to exist. I'm not sure that the superego injunction would actually be, you deserve to be dead, but it's the absence of, you deserve to be alive. You deserve to stand up for yourself. You're worth fighting for, kid. You're a good person. You can do that. You can. If you don't, if you can't do it, it doesn't matter. Try. Go on, try. We'll be fine. It's like, wow. Wow. That's really fucking powerful to have that authoritarian figure behind you going, give it a go. Give it a go. And then, because you look at children, like when you watch the metacommunication of children, what do? They're doing this all the time. They're looking at the adults that are taking care of them. They'll pick this thing up and go, look, or what does that mean? Because they're looking to you for meaning. They're looking to you to show them meaning. So be careful what you tell them it means. You don't just tell them. You show them your expressions, your emotional state tells them. They put the thing in the mouth. If the adult screams and goes ballistic, that's dangerous. If the adult goes, oh, that's cute, this is okay to put in my mouth. See what I'm saying? If I fall down and I receive nerve-ending signals of shock, I look to the parent, and sometimes, this was something I talked about years ago, depending on how the parent reacts is how the child will react. If the parent goes, no, you're silly, they might go, hee hee, I'm silly. If the parent goes, oh my God, you've broken your spine, they'll go, oh my God, I've broken my spine. They haven't. That didn't happen. There's just the parent. They've got a soft. Kids fall on their ass. They know how to do that. Nobody gave them, what is it called, breakfall training from jiu-jitsu or judo. But they fall. When they fall, they tend to fall on the fleshiest part and the safest part of their body. They go, and they fall down on their ass, or and they'll fall down and they'll break fall forward. This just happened the other night. We were in a restaurant, and this little kid was running around, and he went boom onto a hard wooden floor. Bang! I did a perfect breakfall with no training. He's like 3 years old with this big wobbly head. Thudunk! Straight down, did a perfect breakfall. The women on the table I was with went, oh my God, and I went, he's fine. No, it was loud. It's loud to you. He's fine. Watch. He went, ah! And I was like, 2 minutes is all this is going to be. I swear to you, 2 minutes later, he's running around again. There wasn't even, this is shocking and loud bang, but they're getting the meaning from what we give them. These become superego formations. It's instinctual. It's preconscious. It's like a breakfall. It's like knowing to put your hands down so your face doesn't get mashed. Nobody teaches you that. You don't need to be taught that. It's like falling on your ass when you go down. Nobody teaches you. You don't need to be taught that. There are good things that are preconscious or non-conscious that protect you. I suspect the superego is probably supposed to protect you, but it's not a perfect system. We've evolved in this staggered, odd, non-linear way with bursts, and it's not one straight line. Evolution and is not one straight. It bursts and then it slows down and then it speeds up and it reacts to certain things in the environment and so on and so forth. And what we can end up with is a superego that's like saying, I don't belong on this planet. I don't deserve to be alive. It's not saying you deserve to be dead. Not usually. Even if you get that inner critic voice, that's probably not a genuine superego injunction. That's an interpretation. So the superego doesn't just feed words, it feeds feelings. So if it feeds intense feelings of shame, intense feelings of worthlessness, then that will then manifest as you deserve to be dead. What it will fail to do, and what it should be doing, and what the Silence the Inner Critic course tries to address and tries to rebalance and give you, is say, you're okay. You're supported. You're loved. You're essentially okay. You're not the most wonderful goddess-like being ever. People wanted to correct me on the last video about my misquoting of Galadriel from Lord of the Rings. Sorry about that, fans. You're not the most perfect goddess-like entity, but you're not a worthless piece of shit either. You're okay, kid. You're all right. It's safe. Sometimes it's not. Just look both ways before you cross the road. You know, take account, be smart, make good decisions. But it's okay, and you can try. And if it doesn't work out, you just fall on your ass and you have a little giggle, and then you get back up and you go and do it again. If you have a superego injunction that's running like that inside of your head, my whole premise is your life will change. Your life will be unfucking recognizable. And it's not that we're turning, this isn't some like hyper capitalist, westernized life coaching, buy a bigger yacht. You know, it's not that. It's just don't have a voice inside your head that sucks. Don't feel like shit about who you are every day. It's wonderful. It's fucking wonderful to live in a world when you go on the other side of this. Oversharing. I was asked in America last year what recovery from CPTSD looks like and whether it's really possible. And the person, you could see from the meta communication from their face, was broken. They were just like, somebody who's definitely passively thought about suicide. Definitely. And that's where I first started talking about this sliding scale. It just came to me in the moment when they asked me that. I was like, this person needs a real answer. And I was like, well, I can only tell you what I experienced. I was functioning at 20%. And this is how it felt. I'd look over my balcony sometimes and I'd be like, maybe. It's when I was living in Malaysia. And then I started to recover, and I managed to get to like 40 or 50%. But that was tough. Then in the last year, and it really was just last year, and a lot of it was, you know, people are going to think I'm boring, keep banging the same old drum, and nobody seems to want to hear this. Acknowledge your feelings. Like, do some emotional literacy work. Yeah, man, for realsies. Like, you are a vessel of emotions, and when you deny that, it's like an elephant trying to be a giraffe. Every day hurts, every day sucks, everything is uncomfortable because you're trying to be something that you're fundamentally not. But then when you acknowledge your feelings and you're permitting your own feelings, things change, and you will cry, you will grieve, because you'll fucking wake up. It's like an awakening. You go, holy shit, what have I been missing? So I was chatting to this person in America. I think it was in Oakland, actually, this happened. Maybe the people at the Oakland seminar can back that up. And we were talking, and I said, you know, you get up to 90% and up. And I said, I bounce within 90%. I don't think I stay at like, 100%, but I never go back down past 90 in terms of recovery. And they're like, I must have done a good job because I had them. And they were like, well, what does that feel like? And I was like, it's not very politically correct to tell you what this feels like, but it kind of feels like being high all the time. This is like being on really high quality cocaine. Don't ever do it. It's a shitty drug that will invite demons to possess you. It's really, really bad. But when I was stuck on that shit in my 20s, I think what I was trying to do was I was trying to feel love. And there are other, there's a TED talk about this. Somebody in the comments, please post about it. Addiction, the rat experiment, and emotions, and feelings of isolation, and low serotonin levels. Is an English guy. It's a really, really good TED talk. Post it in the comments below. We'll all like it up. I'll pin it. I think I was obsessed with taking Coke and drinking a bit as well, because there was a certain state that I could get to sometimes where I would feel something that I was thirsting for. I just feel like that all the time now. And not every day is perfect. It's not like I don't fucking have bad moods or sleep badly or I don't eat enough or I eat the wrong food or I train too hard or there's just stress with work, or it's not like that doesn't happen, but you can't get me into an emotional flashback. You can't. I tried who was I talking to about this? Maybe I was talking on Instagram Live about this a couple of weeks ago. There was an opportunity for an emotional flashback, and I was like, holy shit, I haven't had one of these for a while. Okay, lean in. Like, think the thoughts that you would think that make this worse. Come on, let's... And I couldn't get the fucking engine started. I couldn't... I was like, it was a state that I recognized as an emotional flashback, but there was no fucking emotion in it. What is this? Is this some, crazy round the houses fucking sales pitch? I guess so. But if it's going to be a sales pitch for anything, let's let it be a sales pitch for authentically healing. Rather than me saying, buy this thing that I've made, follow my advice. Maybe you should go and get the Pete Walker book. Some people don't like it. They can't read it. It's too triggering for them. Maybe you should do... There's fucking tons of people out there, like the John Bradshaw work, or the woman who calls, is it Byron Katie, who calls it the work, the heart work, or maybe it's mindfulness for you, or whatever it is. Find your path. There's a couple of key things though. You've got to process your emotions. You've got to fucking heal the superego injunctions that come from either outright abuse or neglect from childhood. These are the twin pillars of CPTSD. If you want to heal from CPTSD, you've got to find a way of doing it. It might not be with me. I'm irritating to some people. Believe it or not, I'm amazed. But apparently this style of speaking is very annoying for some people. So, there's room here for other people to also be teaching this stuff and conveying this stuff in a different style, in a different way. But do it. It's a very, very strange feeling still, because it's still fairly new for me. Like the tour of America I did last year, I couldn't have done before. I just physically mentally I wasn't capable of it. Well, that flying and traveling and talking to strangers, it driven me fucking mad. And then even since then, there's been more process. There's been more. The emotional flashbacks I kind of already had down by then, but now there's been healing in terms of codependency, and there's been healing in terms of the superego for me. And people ask me, what's it like? It's if I say it's being high all the time, that's a little bit disingenuous. It's the feeling that I get is a constant state that is the one I was looking for when I used to drink and take coke. That's what I feel. That's a better way of saying it. It's not like I'm high all the time. I'm going, this is what normal people feel. This is how neurotypical people feel. This is why they're not fucking pulling their hair out and rocking in a corner all the time. This is why they're not engaging in really self-destructive patterns of coping mechanisms and all the rest of it all the time, because they feel like this. It feels pretty fucking good. If you can get to this place, many things will make sense. And a lot of the stuff that you think right now that you need to do to feel okay, you don't need to do them. You don't need a magic relationship. You don't need a magic job. You don't need to go to a magic place. You don't need to be with a magic person. You don't need a magic thing. You can just whatever, man. You just be. You could just be, and it feels good. And that's, I don't promise more than that. It's not high energy, euphoric, wah, and all that crazy shit. It's just, yeah, I definitely don't want to kill myself. I can't use that as a tagline in marketing though, because I don't think people would respond well. Spartan Life Coach. Yeah, I definitely don't want to kill myself. With my face just saying this, I'll make you not want to be dead. People with CPTSD are going to find that funny. People who don't have CPTSD, they're going to get offended. They're going to get very offended by that. All right, guys, I think that's enough. Oh, cramping. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention. And I will do another YouTube video on Monday. Thank you.